All right, guys, welcome back to Marlins 9. It's Monday, April 1st, start of a new month, and the Marlins certainly hope that the month of April proves to be a little bit more successful than the end of March. Coming off the opening day series against the Pittsburgh Pirates, and they got swept. Lost all 4 games, 4-0, and the worst start to a Marlins season really since 2001. I believe was the only time Miami had gone 0-4 to start the season. Traditionally, from what I've seen during my time watching this team, they start off slow. They start off slow to start the year. So it's a marathon, right? It's 162 games. There's no reason to panic just yet, but there are some certain tendencies, some certain aspects of Marlins baseball that you certainly want to see change as the season continues. Otherwise, as they say, you can't win a pennant in April, but you can certainly lose a pennant in April. And that will be the case. The Marlins can find themselves getting, falling further and further down the standings if they don't fix certain things. So there's some good, there's some bad, there's some downright just terrible baseball being played over the last few days. We're going to kind of go in and just break it down, give you my thoughts from this series as Miami was swept by Pittsburgh. So, Miami getting swept, it sucks, right? There's no really way to cut it. You go into a season coming off the playoffs, everybody feeling pretty good. I was feeling very optimistic, and just like that, you drop the first 4 games to start your season, and the way you drop those games, I think, is more to do with the disappointment is the way the Marlins lost these games. Start off opening day, you should have won that game. Goes into extra innings. Really good start from Jesus Luzardo, who ultimately finished the day with 5 innings, 8 strikeouts. Sixto Sanchez comes in, and first time Sixto Sanchez has pitched in a game, in a major league regular season game since 2020. So credit to him. Just an awesome accomplishment there. But he goes in, gives up the game time home run, and ultimately the Marlins lose in extra innings. The timely hit, you have a runner on second base, you can't get him across, you can't get more than 1 run in extras. It's just something that you started off with some good hits. Jake Berger, Josh Bell, Tim Anderson on opening day, but ultimately you can't get the timely hit that you needed in that situation. So the Marlins dropped the first game at the second game's not even close. Not even close. AJ Puck really struggled. Really struggled with command. 2 innings pitched into the third, 6 walks. And I think that is just really surprising because of the way he commanded the fastball and commanded all of his stuff last year. To go in and his first start, 6 walks. Coming out of it, the good news is he didn't lose faith in himself. He is still confident that he can go out and start, which is huge because coming from being a reliever, you have to have that mentality of where yesterday doesn't matter. It's all about the next start. It's all about the next appearance. So don't panic, guys. Don't panic. It's the first game of AJ Puck's starting career, like in the major leagues. There's still a whole ton of baseball to be played. That was disappointing. That game kind of got away from the Marlins before it really could start for them, unfortunately. And you lose and you're down 0-2 in the series. And the third game, Ryan Weathers is on the mound again. You need to pitch deep. You need to be pitching deeper into games. He cannot get through 4 innings. So now Jesus Luzardo, opening day, 5 innings. Okay. He hovered around 85 pitches, I believe, was when Skip pulled him from the game. But he completed 5 innings. They were solid innings. struck out 8, as I previously said. Really good start. Again, you have the clunker from AJ Puck. He didn't have his stuff, didn't have the command, did not have it at all. You needed the bullpen that game. That was where you needed the bullpen to finish with the following 7 innings, as Puck only got through 2. So going into that third start, you really needed some depth from this rotation. This is where you really needed some length, I should say. You needed some length from the rotation to be able to give the bullpen a break. You don't want this bullpen to be getting taxed this early in the season. However, unfortunately, Ryan Weathers only gets through 4 after the game, saying he felt good, the pitches felt good, was executing his pitches, but Pittsburgh was just putting good swings on him. And as a pitcher, that's where you feel like you're in a good spot mentally and you're in a good spot mechanically. And from what I gathered from the post-game comments was that Ryan Weathers, he's out there, he's on the mound, he's feeling good. He's executing the pitches, but the hitters are executing their swings that much more. And so, again, you're a professional, you're a major league pitcher. It's a long season, but I really would have loved to see Ryan go deeper into that game. Too often than not, you see Marlins starters go through 4 or 5 innings and that's it. And you're going to have a bullpen that's heavily, heavily worked as we move into the months of the summer, July, August. This is where you're going to have the bullpen, and they're not going to be as as fresh. You got to eat up innings now in April, and so back-to-back days where your starting pitchers are only getting through 6 innings combined. That's just not acceptable right now if you want to compete. Your bullpen's going to be overworked. They're going to be completely taxed by the time the All-Star break rolls around. It's not going to be good. It is not going to be good. That's how injuries happen. You got to get more out of your starters. That's the biggest takeaway I think I have from this series is you got to get more out of your starters. You just do. Trevor Rogers comes in and gives you 5 innings yesterday. I was really happy to see him go through 5. Wasn't the best 5 innings, gave up 4 runs, but certainly could have been a lot worse. Somebody that really hardly pitched at all last year, but is still an important and crucial part of this pitching staff if the Marlins are going to compete in 2024. It was good to see him give the Marlins a chance yesterday. That was Easter. Happy Easter to you all out there. And it was a happy Easter at first for the Marlins, 5-0. And again, you can't hold the lead. You give up runs. Vlad Gutierrez comes in, just called up, gives up a big home run. And just like that, one swing of the bat, you're down now. Instead of 5-4, you're down 7-5. And your offense can't close that gap. And they do in the 9th inning. Nick Gordon pinch hit home run. An unexpected home run from Nick Gordon. But there you go. You love to see it. And then you go into extras. Tanner Scott ultimately gets hit around a little bit, gives up a couple runs, and Miami can't do anything. It's just one of those things where you have to be able to perform consistently offensively. Okay, yes, the bullpen gives up the lead, and it's disappointing, but that's going to happen. How is your offense going to respond? And more times than not, I feel that Miami, when they're up to hit, and you've already put on a crooked number in the first 2, 3, 4 innings, and you're up, for example, in this game, 5-0, and you're up 5-0, keep the foot on the gas. But they seem to get stagnant. They seem to hit a rut. It's like their bats come alive for the first few innings, and then that's it. Or their bats come alive in the first in the 2 middle innings, the 6th and the 7th, and then that's it. And there's no consistency. I think that's the biggest thing is just there's no consistency. And this goes back to 1 through 9 in the order, the guys that are contributing, who's on there, who are you going to pinch hit for? Jesus Sanchez the other day gets pinch hit. He's swinging the bat really well to start the year. Avisail Garcia comes in, strikes out on 3 pitches. It's like you have to, top to bottom, be confident in how you're managing the lineup, because this lineup can be very, very inconsistent. The one guy who is consistent to start the year, I gotta say, and I'm gonna give a shout out to, is Jake Berger. Jake Berger has been absolutely scorching hot to start 2024. And we all knew coming into this season, we all knew coming into 2024, to have to live up to expectations, was going to have to produce offensively like they did last year if Miami wanted to compete. And Berger has come in and absolutely raked. I love Jake Berger. Well, absolutely one of my favorite Marlins on this team. The guy can hit, and he's showing it right now. Big time power threat, was never going to hit for a lot of average, but he has shown right now he is hitting, and he is the Marlins' hottest hitter by far to start this season. You hope it continues as the Marlins continue this week with the Angels and then the Cardinals. So Jake Berger, shout out. Absolutely, probably the MVP of the series. If there was an MVP for this series, you lose 4 games, but the best player, Jake Berger, by far for the Marlins. The other guy I want to give some recognition to throughout this Pittsburgh series is Brian Hoeing. Remember when I talked about the starters not getting length, not going deep into games? You need that. It's important. But when it doesn't happen, and you as a manager are forced to pull your starter from the game, you're forced to pull AJ Puck. He doesn't have it. He doesn't have the stuff. Ryan Weathers just can't get through the 5th inning, can't get into the 5th inning. You want a guy, a middle of the relief guy, who's going to be able to give you 3, 4, 5 dependable innings and eat up those innings. And Brian Hoeing did just that. He did just that the other day. Hoeing goes 4 innings. He struck out 4. I mean, like, the guy contributed last year out of the bullpen. He contributed as a starter. He comes in his first appearance in middle relief. It shows he still can start. He can still spot start by going through 4 or 5 innings. And just tip of the cap to him, because put in a situation which is never fun. It's never the ideal situation for a pitcher to come in while you're losing, but it's important that you don't let the lead get balloon to this insurmountable number. And it's also important for, if the game has gotten away from you at that point, you don't force your manager to throw guys that have already pitched. You don't want Skip to be forced to throw Soriano in that situation, or Sixto again, or Tanner Scott, or guys that really shouldn't be pitching in this situation. Brian Hoeing did an excellent job of giving the Marlins some length, going 4 innings, eating up some innings. And so, really good job by him. Wanted to mention him in today's podcast. He is an integral part of this pitching staff. I do expect Hoeing to not just continue making relief appearances, making middle relief appearances, but I do also expect him to start some games. If, for you Marlins fans over the last couple years, if you remember the name Dan Castano is a guy that reminds me a lot of what Brian Hoeing can be. Brian Hoeing he doesn't have the most electric stuff, neither did Dan Castano, but he could come in and give you quality innings, which is something in 2024, frankly, the Marlins need. You're losing a ton of innings with Sandy. You don't know how long Yori Perez is going to be out. You're going to need guys like Hoeing to come in and pitch. And so credit to Brian Hoeing. Him, Jake Berger, two guys I wanted to mention today in the podcast, give some love to. And now it's on to Los Angeles, right? It's on to Los Angeles. You got a 3-game series, and Max Meyer is going to make his major league or season debut, his first pitching appearance since 2022. Of course, coming off Tommy John surgery. So, is it a must-win game? I don't know if it's a must-win game, but you don't want to start 0-5. This is a series you'd love to see Miami win. If you can take 2 out of 3, or even get a sweep, you don't want to see them lose this series. You, it's fascinating in baseball because we say it's 162 games, and it is. It's a marathon. But if you don't get off on the right foot, the season can get away from you really quickly. If you get off on the right foot and you start off like the Tampa Bay Rays did last year, you start off 12-0, and that's great. You're going to be competitive, but you can fade down the stretch. It's way harder for an organization in Major League Baseball to start off 0-4, 0-5, 2-7, and then make a run into the postseason. It's just harder. There's no way around it. Every team wants to start off on the right foot. Miami's 0-4. You got to turn this around quickly. Really got to turn this around quickly. It starts tonight against the Angels. Max Meyer is going to be on the mound, and I'm excited to see that. I'm excited to see him pitch, just for the fact that another top prospect that is kind of written off, kind of forgotten about. Guys past him, Yori Perez became the focal point of the Marlins pitching staff, and probably rightfully so. But Max Meyer coming off TJ, he's still a dude. He's still a guy. He's still a competitor that wants to contribute and that has to contribute for this team in 2024. Going to be interesting to see him pitch. Really excited to see this start tonight. And before we close, the last segment I'm going to get into is Avisail Garcia. Avisail Garcia and booing. Okay. Article from the Miami Herald coming out. Garcia makes comments about the fans booing him when he's up at the plate. And you got to sit back and think about this. This guy's making $12 million a year. He's making $12 million a year. He's financially set for life. Okay. He's living in South Florida. He's living in Miami. He's playing baseball, and he's contributed nothing. Okay. He's contributed nothing to this team. It's a rough business. I get it. But baseball's a business. It's a job. And when you're making that type of money and fans are making significantly less money and they're spending out of their pocket to come see you, and you have hardly been on the field, and when you're on the field, you're practically useless, then it seems a bit, apathetic that you would go to a publication and say, "Oh, I'm tired of the fans booing me." Well, maybe they're tired of spending money to see you strike out. Maybe they're tired of spending their money on seeing you roll over on every single breaking ball, ground to the shortstop, and jog down the line for a double play. Right? Like, I'm not saying Avisail Garcia is a bad guy. That's not at all. I'm sure he's a great human being. But this is a business. And if you're taking up a roster spot where there's a guy named Dane Myers down in AAA who's playing his ass off for every opportunity, and he's not up here because you're on this roster, because of the cash space you're taking. You're taking at bats, and then it just didn't seem like any real accountability. Like, if you had any sense of real accountability, you would have recognized, I've done nothing. I suck, but it's, oh, poor me, I'm getting booed. Like, it's hard out here. But, I wish the fans would understand when they boo me that I'm trying. Are you? I don't know. Like, there just comes a point where production matters. Okay. And it's a business. It's a rough sport, but you're taking up at bats. You're a liability on this team. And I hope I'm wrong. Somehow I hope I'm wrong. And you have this career renaissance. Okay. But the fact of the matter is, Avisail Garcia should not be on this baseball team. He just shouldn't be. He's not helping this team win games. Dane Myers would help this team win more than Avi Garcia would. So that is what I have to say about that situation. Again, Angels series coming up tonight. Max Meyer on the mound. It's going to be a 3-game set. You really want to see Miami win this series, guys. Got to win this game tonight. You can't let this thing get away from you before it starts. I'm one of the most optimistic fans there is. And, 0-4, I didn't expect that. I really didn't expect that. There were some bright spots that I went over. Jake Berger's one of them. Jazz Chisholm, grand slam. That, you love seeing Jazz play. But you can't start 0-4. You got to snap it right now. You got to nip the losing in the bud before it gets away from you. That's all I got today, guys. As always, let's go fish. Follow me on Twitter. Go Marlins.